I'll start. And Sister Tanea, do you could you send me the recording from the last meeting?
You have to walk me through how to do it.
Okay.
I mean, I saw where I saved it, but yeah, I don't know how to do that.
Okay. All right. Well, just hang on after the meeting, and hopefully we can talk through that briefly.
Just call me whenever you're ready.
Okay. I want to try to get that on our YouTube sooner rather than later. That was a pretty good meeting, and I'm hoping this meeting is just as good, if not better. So do you want to do the official opening, and I'll jump in at roll call?
Okay. All right. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Dr. Julius Nyeri CBPM UNIA-ACL Division 421 Mass Meeting. Today is September the 10th, 2023. It is currently 5:12 p.m. Eastern Time. And we are about to get ready to do our pledge to red, black, and green. I don't know, how had you been doing it, President John? Are you back to just reading it and then everybody repeat, or is we still reading it together?
We should be reading it together. For those that don't know, obviously you can sit back, listen, and learn. But for those officers in particular, we should be able to, say our pledge in cadence.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna count it off. 1, 2, and 3.
Just to be clear, again, we're saying it all together. So it's not call and response, but if you can say it with us, say it with us. If you can't, then just hold on for a moment, and we'll get back to discussion briefly.
Okay. Well, look, if you look at the screen, I'ma say it with those pauses. That way we all can be on the same accord. I won't, I just do it this way. So if you're looking, then you should be able to keep up with it. Okay, I commit
my body,
mind,
and spirit
to the protection, defense, and security of the red,
black,
and green. I dedicate my life to the redemption of Mother Africa
and the
liberation of her scattered black children.
I accept
for myself
and my
descendants
the teachings
of
universal African nationalism. And I promise
that
our children
will be instilled
with
the purpose
and
knowledge
of
of
themselves
as
African people.
In order
that
the cause of
our struggle
will
neither
falter nor fail until
all black people
are free
and united
through
one God, one aim, and one destiny.
Race first. Okay, that's like the best. I'd have never heard us do this. So I'm proud of everybody.
Oh my goodness. I guess that's good. I'm proud of everybody as well. Great job. Everybody.
Yeah. Because we've been trying to do this for a while.
Yes. And we have to we can't give up. This is the way we're supposed to do it. So we have to get better at doing it the right way. Let me stop share there. I guess the next thing was roll call. Let me pull up it's roll call then ground rules, right? Okay, was it ground?
Okay. Well, I always do the guidelines right after.
Go ahead and get your guidelines, and then
okay. All right, our meeting is divided into two halves. The first half we focus on the topic. The second half we do member share, and everyone get a chance to share on the topic of their choice during member share. normally lasting between 3 to 4 minutes. Whenever you do have the floor, be considerate of the time and try not to take up a lot of time, or make sure you're following the time rules whenever you are speaking. We do have it to where you can request to do presentations. If you have something to say that's longer than, the 3, 4, or 5 minutes, you can do that. To ensure we can hear our speakers on the phone, please leave your phone on mute when you're not speaking. You can use your notes in your phone to take contact information, or to take note of anything you would like to say or ask questions whenever it's your turn. There will be people on this call with different ideas, religions, and opinions than of your own. It's okay to disagree, but let's not become disrespectful, nasty towards one another. We ask that ladies do not give out their personal number during this call, especially since we're now putting it on YouTube. Just be mindful of that. I'm sure don't you do blank that part out, right? President John, don't y'all leave that out, the member share. So just be mindful, that it is recorded. Do not use the N-word, and refrain from using curse words. We have children that tune in. So I'm going to pass it to you, President John. Can y'all hear me?
Yes. Sorry, I was on mute.
All right.
You did a great job with the ground rules. Following the ground rules, the next agenda item is roll call. So I'll just briefly go through the roll. Let's see. So we are the UNIA-ACL Division 421, the Dr. Julius Nyeri CBPM division. As I go through the roll call, I'll start with our officers. I want all new members and current and new members to know who the individuals that have taken position of leadership in our division. And Sister Tanea, we'll talk. I know you sent me a message. We'll talk. So just roll with me for now. You have myself, Brother John. I serve as president for Division 421. We have our treasurer, Ross Marvin, who is our previous president of Division 421. We have Brother Art, current recording secretary of Division 421. We have Attorney Imhotep Akibalan, the legal counsel, defense committee coordinator, as well as the counsel general for the UNIA-ACL. We'll get into the counsel general's role later. We have our first vice president, Brother Omasyus, and we have our one of our lady presidents, Sister Tanea. In addition to that, and we also have our education coordinator and lady president in training, Sister Diane. In addition to our officers, we have Sister Adrian, we have Brother Delveechio, Dr. Shams, we have Brother Jaylen, Shep. Is that a brother or a sister? I'm not sure. Shep, if you could confirm. We also have, go ahead, Shep.
Yes, hey, this is Shep. This is Rebel's wife.
Oh, okay, how you doing? Shep,
Hey, how are you?
right?
Yes.
How you doing, sister?
How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for joining us. Sister Hatshepsut, or Shep, and Sister Shanta, and brother, or I believe that's Brother Terrell. Cooper, please be a brother.
Yeah, that's me.
All right. Thank you. That makes 14 on the call as of right now. So thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you for calling in. As Sister Tanea said, this is I don't know if she said it. This is our first mass meeting for the month of September. We're coming out of a great Garvey month of Mosiah, August, which is the biggest month for us. It's like a culmination. It's almost a culmination of a lot of our efforts throughout the year is August. In September, me personally, I like to look at as a refresh or restart, kind of preparing to finish out the calendar year, the Gregorian calendar, get through December, but also planning, making sure we're planning for next year. One thing that Garvey tells us, he says that if we plan to be somewhere in December, then we should start our plans for that trip or that destination in January. So we should be planning now, for our upcoming Garvey Day next year. Let's see. All right, so that's roll call, ground rules. For how many people were able to join us on our last meeting? Sister Shanta, I believe you were there. Dr. Shams, I know you were there. And I'm talking about non-officers, of course. So out of our non-officers, was anyone other than the ones that I mentioned able to join us last meeting?
No, I joined last week.
Okay. But you weren't on the last conference call 2 weeks ago?
No, I wasn't.
Okay. All right. All right. With that being said, one of the things that we wanted to do today was some brief introductions. Given that we have a pretty much new audience, officers, I kind of want us to go through our motivations as well, kind of set the example of what we're looking for. For those that have already gone through this, as I said, Sister Shante, who else? And Dr. Shams, wouldn't necessarily be required, but if you'd like to, you're welcome to participate. So let me go through our officers. I'll start off. My name is Brother John. I serve as president of UNIA-ACL Division 421. I joined the UNIA in 2018, served as secretary or recording secretary, third vice president and second vice president over the years. And since 2021, I've been serving as president. Outside of the UNIA, I have a profession in mechanical engineering, specializing in mass production and heat mass transfer, but most of that stuff doesn't really transfer over to government business. It's kind of two separate skill sets, but just giving everybody a background on myself. I participated and supported the Nation of Islam. I was never really a registered member. I didn't never receive my X or submit a letter, but supported those brothers and sisters as I found my way into the UNIA, and been here ever since. As far as my motivations, that's what we talked about last week. Was we looked at our membership applications, and there's a section in there that says, "Why did I join the UNIA?" For me, at the time I wrote, to help brothers and sisters in the United States. But coming into the UNIA and understanding philosophies of Garvey, understanding the connection of race and how our blood ties go beyond our national ties or our religious ties, I've expanded that desire to be global and, as our organization says, universal. So anywhere our people are, anywhere descendants of the original man and woman out of Africa reside, we have an obligation to make sure those areas are taken care of and well represented, and not being abused. So that's my elevator speech, kind of long, but that's me as current president. And with that, let me see. I guess the last thing I'll say is my focus as president, I think is good to know. Education and training. One thing that Garvey says in a book that Amos Wilson wrote, he's got a quote in the beginning of it, but Garvey, it talks about Garvey's failures. And he says, "My failure, you ask, I tried to change the world without first changing the minds of men." And that's Garvey's speaking. So as we study the history of Garvey, study the legacy of Garvey, study the life and the accomplishments, I like to work from the end of Garvey's life and pick up, on the lessons that he learned throughout his life and try to carry on that legacy without duplicating, with duplicating as few mistakes as possible. So I feel that one of Garvey's last endeavors was to educate our people. I think he realized that no matter how well accomplished he was, this was a collective effort, and our people as a whole needed to be more politically mature is the best way I can explain that. So that's been my focus, is training and education. You'll hear from our Counsel General the importance of our Constitution. I'll talk a little bit briefly later on about Marcus Garvey's training course. The parent body offers a orientation that we feel is very important, but beyond coming together, we also need to be studying together, learning together, and having a similar level of what needs to be done. So that was longer than I expect everybody else to be, but with that, I'll pass it to President Ross. Stepped off. I was going to get him. Brother Omasyus, if you would, as our first vice president, give a brief introduction of yourself.
Yes, greetings, Race First family. Just want to welcome everybody to the UNIA-ACL new members, and I am extremely excited about the each and every person on the call. For me, it's all about collective work and responsibility. I joined the UNIA to join with like-minded individuals. Because for me, I understood that it's a collective fight. It's a collective fight to be able to create the quality of life that we deserve as a race. Me personally, I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, and I ended up going to school for accounting and business. And one of my major focuses is developing our own economy. And when Marcus Garvey, as a leader, as he came over to the United States, focusing on the programs that we had and how to actually build institutions and systems for our people to thrive and enhance their quality of life, and not just talk about what's going on, is what I always am attracted to about Marcus Garvey in itself. And that's my goal, to walk in those footsteps, to help us actually have our own economy as a people. For me, I feel like if we're not building everything for ourselves, then we're leaning on someone else. And Marcus Garvey always says that any leadership teaches you to depend on another race, a leadership that will enslave you. So I feel like we have to, as a people, have our own everything and be able to be in position to develop our own everything. And that is will be able to be executed with the masses of us working together. So our greatest strength is each other. Our greatest strength is our membership. In order to have, for me, economics is energy connected, to be able to produce assets that will enhance our quality of life. And each and every one of us has an energy base that we can bring to the table and connect ourselves and with our skills and resources and talents that we have to be able to enhance our quality of life. So that is my overall factor for joining the UNIA, because I wanted to make our quality of life a team sport. And I observed how it was systematically being placed in front of us for us to go at economics individually. And Marcus Garvey, for me, was the one person who out of all the leaders, understood that it is a team sport. And that's why we say race first, because that first of all, we have to recognize that we have to come together and be able to commit to each other to create the quality of life that we deserve. So thankful for each and every person, each and every new member on the call that we have today. And I'm looking forward to seeing the skill sets that each and every one person has. And we all have individual things that we bring to the table. If we do that individual thing well, and success is a bunch of small things done well. So whatever you do, whatever you bring, no matter how big and how small it is, you do it well and you make it your own. And we will have our system, and that will enhance the quality of life for all of us on this call, the quality that we deserve. And Marcus Garvey reminds us that we deserve that quality of life because we are all direct descendants of the one that created everything, the Most High, the infinite intelligence. So I'm excited. Let's tap into the infinite intelligence that we all have, continue to develop our own individual selves, and let's bring each one of us to the table to create the system that we deserve as a people. So, great. First, I'm glad to meet everybody. My brother Omasyus, your first vice president. Happy to be of service.
Thank you, Brother Omasyus. As he said, that's our first vice president, as well as holds the office of business coordinator. So, anyone interested in understanding, president, vice president, or supporting from a business standpoint, Brother Omasyus would be a contact person for those endeavors. With that, I wanted to bring in one of our sisters, and if you would, Sister Tanea, could you give your introduction, please?
Greetings, everyone. My name is Sister Tanea. I'm out of Dallas, Texas. I've been in a few different positions in the UNIA since I
joined, like back in 2014, 2015. I've done the coordinator, not the coordinator, I'm sorry, the correspondence secretary. I've done recording secretary. I've done vice presidents 1, 2, and 3, the whirlwind committee, and I've done like I've been in a few different positions. I can't remember them all. Sorry. So let me see what else. What else did you say, President John? I forgot what all you
I guess you
told
can
us.
touch on what you do for your profession and what you like to see from the division, how you help the division, and where we need help in the division.
Okay. I was just trying to make sure I get everything. Well, in the real world, I just do, away from here. I ain't gonna say the real world, but in my real, away from the organization, I do nails, other arts and crafts, bracelets. I also do like I make the wine glasses and just anything arts and crafts I like to do. As far as with the division, I help host the meetings and do the agenda. We have like a whirlwind newsletter that I do I haven't been doing it lately, but that's what I did the first 7-8 years in the division. And what I hope to see is more participation. Like for one, with the whirlwind, I would like to have the whirlwind go to a different level where we actually have real articles in it, written by people in the division. What else? Just more participation overall. Just to be quick. So I'm gonna pass it.
Thank you, Sister Nia, longtime supporter and active member in the division. Thank you for your longtime support, Sister Tania. Let me see the sister. Okay, I want to go to our other sister, one of our newer members, Sister Diane. Sister Diane, you there? Sister Diane, you there? Okay, we'll come back to Sister Diane. In the meantime, Attorney Imhotep, would you be able to give a brief introduction?
the video. Okay. Greetings, Africans. My name is Imhotep Al-Kibulen. I'm the Counsel General of the UNIA-ACL, a constitutional officer of the government. I have been a member, I'm not quite certain how long here. I got to Atlanta Metroplex in 2014. I'm thinking shortly thereafter, I became a member. In 2022, I believe, I became the Counsel General, and then I was reappointed in March of this year, and I joined the UNIA-ACL because I feel that I'm a Garveyite. I believe in what Garvey stood for, his philosophy and opinions. I see and believe that he was an outstanding African, considering the time there in 1920 when government really formed and established itself. Why he did and what he did and what his philosophy was is to be commended. And I, again, share his philosophy and opinions. They are still relevant and needed today, 103 years later. And I look forward to continuing the legacy of those members, UNIA-ACL members. I'm excited about the new members who have joined. I welcome you. There's plenty of work to do. I encourage you to get involved. And as we see ourselves as race people, we're race men and women, and the need for the race is, again, as needed, was needed 100 years ago, and not much has changed 100 years since. Be that as it may, as proud Africans, we can do what we will, and we will. And so welcome all of you. Hope you get to work here and race first.
Race first. Thank you, Counsel General. If you wouldn't mind, Counsel General, could you briefly share with our new members the importance of the role of Counsel General and what that means in the government of the UNIA?
Yes, the Counsel General basically informs the members, all the members, of their duties, responsibilities, limitations of the Constitution. What at times is to be expected, that there will be disagreements on how we should proceed, what we're permitted to do. Essentially, we are a government within a government, and we have, in that position, limitations. There's certain things that we can't do because we are with, again, a government within a government, but we have responsibilities to the race, and we through our Constitution, we try to fulfill those responsibilities, and they're all. It's natural that there will be different disagreements as to what we can do, what the Constitution of the UNIA-ACL provides, and there has to be some interpretation of what exactly the Constitution says and means. And the Counsel General is the overall legal advisor, authority of what the Constitution says. And it's the Counsel General's responsibility to interpret the Constitution for all its members. And you have to be fair to all sides. We'll get into that later when we talk about and we go through the Constitution, and we will here. There's certain language and provisions and that we're all as a race of Africans hold ourselves to, proudly hold ourselves to. So the Counsel General has to understand, as it's understandable, there's so many different Africans and that we're working together as a nation, as a government, and we can do it. There are natural challenges that we have, and we try to work together to come together, do what's in the best interest of the UNIA-ACL. So that's essentially some of the duties, responsibilities of the Counsel General.
First, thank you, Counsel General Attorney Imhotep. To everyone, new members as well as current, we under my, with me as president, one of the things that we will have a major focus on and foundation on is being a constitutional division of the UNIA. The original Constitution was created by Marcus Garvey and our ancestors in 1918. Just last year, 2021, we updated, well, not last year, year before last, 2021, we updated and printed out revised constitutions. Those that were the individuals that came to Garvey Day and signed up during Garvey Day had an opportunity and should have received a copy of that text. But that is our highest legal document in the UNIA. Marcus Garvey says in Course of African Philosophy, towards the end of the text, lesson 21, he talks about the history of the UNIA. There's a section in there that's titled How to Teach the UNIA. And the first thing that Marcus Garvey says is, in order to teach the UNIA, you must first read its Constitution and Book of Laws from cover to cover. So the Constitution is our highest document of importance. It's more important than Message to the People in essence. It's also more important than Philosophies and Opinions of Marcus Garvey, or even Race First. That is the living rules and regulations of our government, how we function and how we maintain order. The opposite of order is chaos. And we're not, we are not a chaotic people. We are the UNIA-ACL, and Marcus Garvey says that a group of our people have to come together to show the example of our race's highest potential. And we believe in order to do that, you have to have a level of order, and we maintain that level of order through the UNIA-ACL Constitution. And as Attorney Imhotep, Counsel General, said, he is the arbiter of the interpretation of the rules and regulations of the Constitution. There's only one Counsel General in the entire UNIA, just like there's only one President General, and we are blessed to have the Counsel General be an active, dues-paying, participating member of Division 421. So, thank you, Attorney Imhotep. Did you have anything else?
No.
Thank you, my brother. Okay, let's keep going with the introductions. Sister Diane, were you able to come back?
I am here.
Greetings, Sister Diane. Did you want to give a brief introduction as to your involvement in getting involved with the UNIA and your vision for the future?
Yes, so my name is Diane Marshall. I became a member of UNIA earlier this year, and I am working with the education division. So my vision for the future is education empowerment. I believe that education is important. Obviously, history is important. If we know our history, we won't repeat it. And overall, my goal is just to see better unity, better education, and economic empowerment for Black people worldwide.
Race first. Thank you, Sister Diane.
Can you hear me? Race first.
Thank you, Sister Diane. That brings a quote to my mind I want to share. Give me 1 second before we go to our next member. Okay, brief intermission before we continue with the introductions. But as if you, one thing you should see, we're trying to build structure. We're trying to, one of Garvey's greatest quotes: "The greatest weapon used against the Negro is disorganization." So with order with organization comes order. We have to have individuals that are willing to step up and take responsibility. When I think of Garveyism, that's one of the things that I'm most proud of, is because Garvey and our ancestors were able to look out to the world, see what we needed as a people, and take it upon themselves to provide that need. So as we've gone through some of our officers, you see an importance on education. You see an importance on legal matters and constitution. You see an importance on business. And as I said, you see importance on training. As Sister Tanea said, the importance of promotion, propaganda. So there are several things that we should be seeing, and several skills that we have within ourselves that we can bring to the table and bring to the race. And that is, for me, that's a major part of what Garveyism is about. One of my favorite quotes from Garvey is when he asked, "Where's the Black man's government?" So I'll read the paragraph. It says, "As Marcus Garvey turned to Jamaica in 1914, after 4 years at Central America and Europe, he came upon the autobiography of Booker T. Washington, the conservative dean of American Black leaders. It was while reading Up from Slavery that Garvey said that he developed his vision for the Universal Negro Improvement Association. The questions that came to Garvey's mind, he says, 'Where is the Black man's government?' Garvey asked himself. Where is his king and his kingdom? Where is his president, his ambassadors, his country, his men of big affairs? This is a paraphrase because there was an army and navy in there as well, but the sentiment is the same. Garvey says, I could not find them, and he declared I would help to make them. So as we go through our officers, we're going through a list of individuals that have taken the responsibility to provide what our race is missing. Garveyism in organization is about going beyond our individual selves. Once we as men and women, we become strong, we become self-sufficient, we master the ability to take care of ourselves and provide for ourselves. The next step becomes to provide those same talents to our community. And that's where we are now, going into our community and building our nation. So with that, let me keep it moving. Next individual I want to bring in, let me see. We're almost finished with our officers. Mama Amina, did you want to make a comment on your involvement with the UNIA as an elder? Mama Amina, you there? Okay, Mama Amina not there. All right, we'll come back to Mama Amina. Let me jump down to our youth coordinator, Brother James. Brother James, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
If you could, Brother James, we've been just doing brief introductions of our officers. If you could let our membership know, we've got quite a few new members on today. Let them know how long you've been with the division, what you see missing within our people, and the vision that you see for your office within the UNIA.
I've been a member of the UNIA for 4 years. And as far as what I see missing for our people, there's virtually no true interest taken in our youth. And that's reflected from this organization even out into the streets and to the world. Black adults are not taking seriousness. They're not taking the future of our youth serious in any tangible manner. And as youth coordinator, I seek to reverse that, meeting our youth at their most impressionable ages, making sure that they are catered to mentally, spiritually, and physically. Without the youth, there is no UNIA, there is no future for Black people. And so in my capacity as the youth coordinator, I've obligated my entire self to changing that. I've written 3 children's books on Marcus Garvey, 2 on Marcus Garvey, 1 on Malcolm X. But the way I cover Malcolm X is from a Garveyite perspective. And I'm not done by any stretch of the imagination. And while information is not the end all be all for our children, for African children, it is definitely a starting point. So in my capacity as youth coordinator, I'm supposed to oversee all things related to engagement with the youth. It's some things that are going to be going on that I have to be made abreast of, and hopefully I get to play a part in. But nonetheless, that's my job in capacity as youth coordinator, to make sure that we are ingratiating our African youth, our Black youth, into the Garvey movement, into the UNIA, into a Black government and an African way of life, and making them understand that their Africanness supersedes all. So that's what I do in my capacity as youth coordinator. Race first.
Yeah. Race first. Thank you, Brother James. As Brother James said, he's our youth coordinator. So he's very passionate about the youth. and he makes sure that we as a division, we as a government, maintain a level of focus on the youth. There's a lot of things that we can get caught up in, distracted in, having events, fundraisers, as I said, legal issues, community, doing charity programs, business ideas. But we can't lose focus of our youth. And I think I commend Brother James doing an excellent job of keeping our focus on the youth, keeping us discussing programs for the youth, so that we don't lose that level of focus. Thank you, Brother James. Mama Amina, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Did you want to share?
I'm here.
Did you want to share with our membership your experience within the UNIA and your vision?
I've been active in the UNIA for some time. And I was a participant in the Black Power movement of the 60s and 70s. And so I've been in NASA's actively for some time. And I met Ross Marvin through Reverend Anderson Sanders. He asked me, did I want to go to a meeting? I said, okay, Reverend Sanders, what kind of meeting is this? He said, they're going looking just like you dress. I said, okay, Reverend Sanders, I'll go with you. Reverend Sanders is now deceased, but he was the one that introduced me to Brother Ross Marvin and the UNI some time ago. We went to the convention. What year was that, Brother Ross? In DC, I think it was. Back in the day.
2010, 2011.
2011. Yeah, that's some years ago. And we've been actively participating in our division ever since I became a member. I acted as a female member, then I was the president of the women, and now I will do whatever, Brother Jan, you need for me to do.
Yes, ma'am.
Recognize the need for both organizations.
Yes, thank you, Mama Amina. Another one of our longtime members and foundational members that have been holding the fort for all of us, for myself as well as the members that just found us recently. That takes care of a majority of our members, and saving the best for last. Ross Marvin. Greetings, Ross Marvin, you there?
Yes, greetings, President John. Greetings, family.
If you could finish off the introduction of our officers and let our new membership know who you are, and a little bit of your history and how you're helping the division now.
Okay, gladly. Greetings, family. I'm Ross Marvin, the first president of our local division from 2009 all the way to 2021. And I've been working closely with our current president, President John, for the last 5 years. He was our first vice president while I was the president on the last 5 years and so on. So I started the UNI. I became a member in 2009 when we formed our local chapter. We was contacted by the current president general at that time, President General Senghor Baye.
Senghor Baye.
Yes, Senghor Baye. And he asked us to form a division in Atlanta. And we had formed it through the Collective Black People Movement Organization. That's why CBPM is inside the division name, because the members of the CBPM came together to form the local chapter, Division 421. I want to thank all the brothers and sisters that has been working underneath the administration of 421 when I was a president. Tanea didn't tell you really everything. She forget that to tell y'all that she's a current president of the CBPM and has been holding down the CBPM too. And also she forget to tell you that she is our editor-in-chief for the Whirlwind newsletter. And if it wasn't for Tanea, we wouldn't have had over 10 years of publishing the Whirlwind newsletter. So Tanea, myself and Lady President Ra Ebony I had a talk last night, so we're definitely gonna make sure that our Whirlwind newsletter comes out regularly. What else about me? I've been teaching high school math from '99 up until COVID. Currently, right now, I'm working with computers, working in Marietta, Georgia, at this computer electronics company. They call me the Rocket Man. I teach our children, our youths, how to build rockets. Also been DJing on WRFG 89.3 FM radio station from 1992 all the way up until COVID. And I joined the UNIA because I believe strongly in Garvey and his message and the unification of African people, those at home and those abroad. So I got to do my part to help out. And currently, right now, I serve as treasurer for a local chapter. And I also assist the division in making the Black government IDs. I'm going to stop it right there, President John. Of course, there's more that I can say, but I just wanted to share that little information at the time. Grace first.
Thank you, President Ross. Yeah, so as you will hear, I call President Ross my president. He will always be my president. So that's just something that I do. You don't have to do that. He is officially our treasurer, but in my mind, in my heart, he will always be my president. So thank you.
All right.
And I did forget one of our members, Attorney Imhotep, his sister Aziza, available. Does she want to share a little bit about how she's been helping with our membership?
She's present, but she's not available. She's a little hoarse.
Okay.
Yeah, but she's on and listening and glad to see so many new members.
Okay. Well, thank you for that, and we thank her for her presence. I'm getting ready to open up to our members for those that are on the call that would like to share a little bit about themselves or what motivated them to learn more about Marcus Garvey and UNIA and join us in this meeting. But in closing, we didn't get to hear from our lady president, Sister Ebony. She's not on right now, I'm pretty sure. Okay, she's not on. We didn't get to hear from our agriculture coordinator, Brother Cornelius. We actually are in need of a Black Cross nurse contact person right now. That's being held by our lady president, Sister Ebony. As I said, corresponding secretary was not able to join. We're not able to speak today. We have an open position for chaplain. I also forgot third vice president is, I'm gonna let everybody know, Brother James is going to be, I'm appointing Brother James as our official third vice president. Second vice president and third vice president for our ladies are currently open positions. So we need sisters that are willing to step up. Sister Diane is in the runnings for one of these positions right now, as well as executive secretary. We need someone to hold that position. Executive secretary is the head secretary. So he or she is responsible for recording secretary, financial secretary, and corresponding secretary. As of right now, I would say Brother Art is kind of in training for that position, but we could always use more help. UNIA-ACL Constitutions, officially an open position. It's under the office of second vice president, and also our counsel general helps with that. Membership office is open. I'm kind of, myself, President Ross, and Sister Diane are holding down those responsibilities. African Legion, we did not get to hear from the head of our African Legion. That's our defense arm, and that's Baba James is holding that position. We heard from our youth coordinator, Brother James, community outreach, and our second vice president, Brother Kenwardo. He does a lot of work in the community as far as our charity programs. We've got an event coming up. I believe it's next week, September. but we'll talk more about that a little bit later. Financial secretary, I'm holding that position. Arts and culture is an open position, and recording secretary, brother Art. So that is, were there any officers that did not get a chance to share or do their introduction?
Yeah, I didn't get to do an introduction.
This brother Jaylen?
Yeah.
Go ahead, brother Jaylen. How you doing?
How you doing? I'm good. My name is Jaylen. I'm 23. I'm from the Atlanta area, Metro Atlanta. I'm from Rockdale County. I stayed in Gwinnett County as well for a minute. But the reason why I joined, I've always just I was kind of raised, pro-black and raised with discernment, really. So, I've always been aware of what's going on in the situation that we in. So, I kind of just I'm kind of just figuring out how I can get more active and actually doing the work instead of just, talking about it. I've been talking about this stuff all my life, and especially my age, my peers don't really want to hear this type of stuff. So I'm kind of just trying to figure out how I can get more active and doing the work that we need instead of just, just talking.
Yes, sir.
And I was at Dr. Umar's speech at Garvey Day. And that's where I was able to join that. It was kind of a no-brainer. It wasn't really something that I thought about. It was just, I understand that the answer pretty much in my opinion, for our problems that we need to have our own everything, really. As long as we're relying on this government to give us stuff, we'll never get it. So, yeah, that's where I joined.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother Jaylen. I think all the brothers for sure, sisters as well, can relate to your message and your story. We were all, that's what this thing called consciousness and being woke is about. Something enters your mind and causes you to question your actions. We can all see what's going on in the world, but the question comes down to what we're doing about it. So we all went through that. And for us, there's several teachers and several leaders in history, but for us, Garvey is the man that stood out. His message of self-reliance is what motivated many of us to be here today. Garvey says that there's no protection for you or your people outside of government. We have to learn how to govern ourselves. And through that, we have to learn how to have a level of diplomacy with other races, other nations, and other groups. But Garvey was the first to, I'm not going, well, I got to be careful what I'm saying. He was the first to promote the ideals on the level of a universal government. I can definitely say that without question. So, as I said in the beginning, I think you will benefit a lot from what the things that we have upcoming, specifically some of our personal development training that we're getting ready to go through. But I'll share a little bit on that as we get closer to the end of the call. But thank you, Brother Jaylen. And Brother Jaylen, for tonight's meeting, did you get it? Did you get the invitation through email, or how did you know about tonight's meeting?
Yeah, I got it through email. I actually I was supposed to be on the one 2 weeks ago for new members. I missed that one. And I got this one through email.
Okay. Thank you. Just that helps us confirm our contact information. Not everyone, some of the emails that we get aren't accurate, or sometimes we make a mistake, change a number or miss a letter. So I just wanted to make sure we got good contact information. So thank you, Brother Jaylen.
Appreciate you.
Anyone else would like to share or introduce themselves, or no pressure? But we do have to, the young brother, he had the courage to come up to speak, not only speak, he also spoke on camera. So I'll give the brother a lot of credit. That takes a lot of courage to do that. Is there anyone else that would like to introduce themselves?
Yes, hi, good evening. Can you hear me? I'm sorry, I'm talking on my Bluetooth, my headset.
Yes, greetings, Sister Shanta.
Greetings, this is Sister Shanta. I'm from Virginia Beach, Virginia. since college, I worked at the Office of Minority Student Services. It was at Ohio State University. I've always been an advocate, a community advocate. After graduating from Ohio State, I went into risk management, did insurance risk management for 20 years. I was the manager of a work from home claims adjuster team. And in 2019, I retired and started my own beauty supply business. And that's kind of what I want to talk about, the purpose of why I became involved with the Garvey movement, because the principle of freedom is financial freedom. We don't have freedom without financial freedom and economic freedom. And in order to get economic freedom collectively, we have to stop working as individual contributors and work as individual leaders. We are all leaders of something. God gave you a gift, and that gift is something that you should take the lead on, whatever it is that you naturally do well. And so we have to begin to change our mindset back to how it was in the 60s and the 70s. I'm old. I'll be 50 next year. So we gotta get back. we gotta get back. We gotta get back to how, because I remember how it was. I remember we were communities and neighborhoods, and we took care of each other. And if one had it, we all had it. And so we have to get back to that, because I say that and I want to transition to what's happening in Africa. Our brothers and sisters, they need us. We had the blessing of living. Yes. We had the blessing to live in a developed country where, while living here, believe it or not, we have picked up a lot of skills and trades that unfortunately are not available in Africa. For example, Burkina Faso, they're going to build their first HVAC manufacturing company on the continent of Africa. And so what that means is, if you work on air conditioners already, you can start your whole business in a country in Africa servicing and installing HVAC systems, because they have no skill set like that. They have to import that skill set. If you work for the city and you do like the streets and the roads and the infrastructure, that is huge in Africa, because we can't get goods and services to and from without roads and stuff. So the things that we take for granted, the skills that we take for granted, are in such high demand and what's happening in Africa right now. Yes. And so I just encourage you to, that's why I love the Collective Black People's Movement, what Marvin started about the skill sets and identifying those. I mean, it's pivotal, because whenever you take a job, they look at what you're qualified to do, your skill sets, and they tell you where they want you to go. But as individual leaders, you have the power to say, I have this skill, I'm developing it, I'm getting better and better every day. All I need is an opportunity, and I need my brothers and sisters to help. You know, and that's how it is. We just collectively work together and help so that we can gain financial freedom. But that's it. I love you guys, and race first.
Race first.
Race first.
Thank you, Sister Shanta, another longtime supporter out of Virginia. Thank you for that, Sister Shanta. And yes, we have aims and objectives in the UNIA. Number 5 is to rebuild the civilizations of Africa. Garvey says that Africa is the land of our vine and fig tree. It is the root. He also said, you know, a people without knowledge of their history and past are like a tree without roots. Our goal, our ultimate objective is, we're not ashamed to say it, it is to build a sovereign nation on the continent of Africa, to be the headquarters for diplomacy for melanated people all throughout the world. We have a responsibility to help Africa, to build Africa, to sustain Africa for all of our people throughout the diaspora. Anyone else wanted to share before we move to our next item?
Race first.
Race first, Dr. Shams, how you doing?
I'm good. Thank you very much, Brother John. Yes, sir. What I have, according to indigenous law and international human rights laws, I have been able to form what I call sham sovereign indigenous Nuwaubian Muslim Indian government. It's a self-government that I formulated myself, and I have a website with that, which is not helpful. USA Legislations People.bracesites.com. It's in the chat for those who are interested on the Zoom. Also, it embodies or it includes topics like religion, law, political defense strategies, history, health, overall embodying spirituality of Islam, and much, much more. In a nutshell, that's the best way I can describe it, but it's a very vigorous website put together to help with any aspect of anything that any organization is doing that might need help as far as elevating our people is concerned. So, you know, that's basically what I have, what I'm able to do. Peace and race first.
Race first.
Race first. Thank you, Dr. Shams. Dr. Shams, another one of our longtime supporters out of New York. Actually, Dr. Shams just renewed his active membership. In the UNIA, and Marcus Garvey's UNIA, he says that there's only two types of members. Your normal members or regular members, those are members by race. Anyone that identifies that connection to the original people of Africa through blood is a member of the UNIA. They are technically, you know, by race Negro, and they are members of the UNIA. The second level of membership is active membership. Those are the members that pay their dues, and the dues are $3 a month, $46 a year. But that's what separates active members from non-active members. And we encourage all of our members, all of our normal members, to activate their membership, to contribute to our collective economy, pay your dues, and help to sustain the government that Marcus Garvey created back in 1920. Thank you, Sister Shanta. Thank you. We will follow up on that. That's much appreciated. Yes, and I'll provide a link in a moment or some information for individuals to pay through Cashapp, PayPal, or Square Up.
Yeah, excuse me. Sister Aziza has asked for an active list of the current members. Is that possible? Can she get that?
What does she mean, active list of? She wants to know the list of members that are paying dues.
Yes. Yes. She wants that list.
Yes. I have to update it. But we can get that. I've got it for August. I have it for August, but it may not be the most recent. But just make a note of that, Brother Art. If you could make a note in our meeting minutes, make sure I remember that and get that to Sister Aziza.
Yes, that's for correspondence purposes.
Understand. And yes, it's a good practice. Those are, you know, quote unquote, our most important members. But those are the ones that are, in my mind, the most serious, the most committed. They see the value in what we're trying to do, and they're willing to make the sacrifices to maintain what we're doing. So they should. And in the Constitution, they say that those are the first members to receive any benefits from the UNIA. We've been very generous and applying, you know, things to everyone, but we do have to have a level of priority on our active members. So thank you, Attorney Imhotep, and we'll get that information to Sister Aziza. Brother Terrell, did you want to make a comment?
Hey, what's going on? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh no, how y'all doing? How y'all doing? Peace and love. A little bit about me on my spiritual conscious journey led me straight the ancient Kemet, which is now Egypt, to really learn about our ancestors and exactly what, our grassroots to leading me to Black nationalism, to Martin Delaney, Karl Markle. Some of these men really influenced me. Learning about Saka Zulu, Mansa Musa, things like that, how powerful we are as a people. Just to cut it a little short, just now I'm at a point where I'm a writer, screenwriter. I would like to bring the race pride to the media, to the eyes, because I understand we get a lot of our knowledge through media, through music, things like this. So bringing our true stories from the past to now to the light of media is a very big aspect of my life and where I want to go. But down to Pan-Africanism is just the unity of us economically setting ourselves apart from white supremacy, white ideologies. Something that I'm very passionate and dear to my heart. So I think joining the UNIA, Marcus Garvey, is something that I really appreciated, especially being at the event, the Marcus Garvey event this past August. Really opened up my eyes and met a lot of good people. So now I'm here to take the next step. Race first.
Race first. Race first.
Race first.
Thank you, Brother Terrell. That means a lot, hearing your message, hearing your story. And officers, I hope all the officers are listening as well. This is why we do this. This is why we put on the event, the Marcus Garvey Day event. And this is the follow-up. We understand that there's work that comes along with celebration, and there's 365 days in a year. And we can't spend every day celebrating, although we do take our time to celebrate and acknowledge special days throughout the year. However, individuals, our people, our race is looking for leadership and looking for programs. And we have to be able to provide those things to bring the message full circle. As we talked about, we got to give credit to Brother Umar. Obviously we're supporters of Brother Umar. One of the things that he always says is he's dropping the Garveyite grenade. And he definitely did that when he was here for Garvey Day. And now it's up to us as officers to pick up the pieces, to assess the damage of that grenade and put things back together. So Brother Jaylen, as well as Brother Terrell, are active vessels from that event, and they've taken the next step to follow up and see how they can become engaged, how they can become more active, and how they can become more aware and more enlightened. So the ball is back in our court. We have to provide that information. We have to provide these resources. And if we can't, that's a failure on our part. And that's a failure on us as a race and as examples of the race. So that's unacceptable. But at the end of the day, thank you, Brother Terrell. You mentioned a couple things, history, the importance of history. Garvey talks about that as well. When you look at Message to the People, his officers training, as well as Philosophies and Opinions of Marcus Garvey, the very first things that he talks about is history and the importance of history. But that's where we'll find when we get lost in the path. That's one of the things that we have as the original man and woman is we have a rich history. And if we go back, we can always find our way. He also mentioned media. We should all know Marcus Garvey's level of priority that he put on media. He said propaganda has done more to ruin the intentions of good men than open warfare. But propaganda was a major tool in Garvey's time. That was a major resource that allowed him to be successful. And I agree with the brother 1,000%. Brother James, we've talked about this as well. and you're doing a great job on the publication standpoint. Well, we've also talked about the media aspect and the audio video component. So I'm very excited about that. I'm really looking forward to that. I think that'll be a great asset to our people and to the idea of organization. But we have to, in a sense, we have to make organization cool again. And media is a great way of doing that. I'm not going to get into the other stuff, but yeah, you said a lot of good stuff, my brother. I agree with majority of what you're saying. Anyone else wanted to share before we move to our next point?
I wanted to share.
And how do we pronounce your name, my brother?
Delveechio.
Delveechio. Okay. Thank you, my brother. Go ahead, Delveechio. You have the floor.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. Thank you guys for having me here. As I said, my name is Delveechio Parks. I am a native of Atlanta, Georgia, by way of a lot of different cities that I've traveled around to, and just came back home in 2018. By profession, I am an attorney, specializing in employment and labor law, also business law as well. I just signed up for UNIA last month at Garvey Day. The reason I decided to join was because I was looking around for a group of like-minded individuals to bond with and help build the diaspora community. I think I have a lot of different skill sets that are useful, but as I've evolved in my consciousness, I find myself getting discouraged because I'm always trying to do things by myself and it seems no progress is being made. But that was one of the reasons why I joined, to help build the diaspora community and give my gifts to that cause. Just a little background information. I spent about 1.5 years in Africa before I came back to America in 2017, traveling around to a bunch of different countries and just, getting a lay of the land. So I agree with the sister that was speaking earlier about how many things and we can offer to the continent and the people there. And I still have deep ties to that. I just heard a lot of different things since I've been on the call that I agree with so much. And I believe in collaborating and building systems. And I think it was Brother James who was talking about the youth and building programs for our youth. I believe that's where our future is. And I believe that's a lot that we can give to them to help our communities come to a place where we can be self-sufficient and keep moving forward with this good work you guys have started. So I'm blessed to be here. I thank you guys for doing all the work that you've done thus far, and I look for a way to contribute to that. Race first.
Race first. Thank you, brother.
Race first.
Thank you, Brother Delveechio. Yeah, you just echo, what we've been saying throughout this call. Officers, we have a major responsibility, and those that are not officers, hopefully you're looking to step up to a position of leadership. Maybe not right now, but that should be an idea somewhere in your mind. But at the end of the day, we have a responsibility to help each other. There's no one that's coming to save us. We have to save ourselves. And in recap, as I said, we are an official division of the UNIA-ACL. The organization was founded in 1914 by Marcus Garvey and Amy Ashwood Garvey. 1920 in Harlem, New York, the organization evolved into a government, and that is what we represent. That is who we are. That is what we're working to maintain and sustain, and we need everyone's help if you see value in this to help us sustain it so that the next generation has something to a home to come to. We can't lose, as I said, 1920, 1914, we can't lose the amount of knowledge that we've gained over these years. And that's what we embody here at Division 421. We're doing our best to maintain that history, that knowledge, teach that history and that knowledge, and make sure we pass it on to those that come after us. So thank you, Brother Delveechio. Got a lot of good traits and good attributes, and we look forward to everyone finding their position within the government so that we can all work together. I think we're all, our mantra, and everybody's bought on to it already, race first. The UNIA has a slogan. Its slogan is one God, one aim. Wait, it's motto.
That's our motto.
Yes, our motto is one God, one aim, one destiny. Our slogan is Africa for the Africans, those at home and those abroad. And I would say our mantra is race first. But that just means everything that we do has to be in the mindset of what's beneficial for our people. And that even goes into religion. When I first heard the term race first as a Baptist Christian, it was clashing with what I had been taught about God first. God should always be first. But the thing that I've learned in the UNIA is the aspect of race and identity and imagery. And if our God doesn't look like us, then we're probably serving someone's oppression. So even as God first, God should look like us, and God should have our race as well. Anyone else before we move to our next point? 6:30. Want to get to our
Brother John.
Yes, ma'am, Mama Amina.
I just wanted to say, and I appreciate that brother going all the way back to Kemet.
Yes,
because we got to see that the truth is continually told. These white people had somebody on TV, and this brother trying to say that that Egypt was the human say it was black land. Oh, he said the land was black. That's why it was black land. It was black land because it was black people there. But we gotta make sure that the truth was told about our history and our past and the continent. That these crackers will tell you anything that's not true.
Yes.
Right.
So I thank that brother for going back to Kemet.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I was gonna bring up a note from Garvey's text in regards to education. Okay. Diane, you got your mic unmuted.
It's not muted.
Yeah, I know. We heard it was like you.
Oh, keyboard. Okay, I muted. Sorry.
To Mama Amina as well as Brother Delvecchio's points. I'm a Garveyite not by choice or by indoctrination, but just from an alignment of ideals and philosophies. I came into Garveyism in my 30s, but by that time, I had an opportunity to develop my own set of ideologies without anyone forcing me down a particular path. And what I found was that my natural beliefs were most in line with Garvey. There were several leaders that you can learn from. As I said, I went through Nation of Islam, Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We have brothers and sisters in the Moorish Science Temple. We have brothers and sisters in the Nuwapian teaching. So there's several teachers. We have Hebrew Israelites as well. Several teachers, several doctrines. But for me, Garveyism was the most natural alignment. And in Garveyism, we have 11 aims and objectives. And number 9 is what I want to touch on here. Garvey says that objective number 9 is to establish universities, colleges, academies, and schools for the racial education and culture of the people. He says this means we are not to become satisfied with the educational system of the white man, which has been devised by him for his own purpose, to lead others to obedience in his system. The Negro must have an educational system of his own based upon the history and tradition of his race. Therefore, the textbooks must be different than the white man's textbooks. The white man's books laud him and outrage the Negro. In such textbooks, the Negro should substitute all that is bad affecting him for what is good relating to him. But in essence, we have to develop our own curriculums. If we see value in Kemet, in Egypt, in East Africa, South Africa, West Africa, and if we see truth in what is known as the transatlantic slave trade, we have to develop curriculums for our own children to make sure these things are not forgotten. We're under our history, and our education itself is under attack, and they're trying to wipe certain things out of history or rewrite them such that their children don't feel bad about the roles of their ancestors. So we can't be too upset about what they do and how they do it. We just have to take the responsibility of educating ourselves, our own, and setting the level of priority of President. You have a comment? Ross Marvin, you came off mute.
And Brother John, we need to also teach our own children. The first thing people do is put our children in public schools. Train up the child in the way they should go. Teach your own children, Black folk.
Yes.
So don't wait for colleges. Do it in elementary school. You got to train up your own children.
Yes. Okay. It is 6:30. We still got quite a bit of information to go over. We want to be done. We plan to be done by 8 p.m. It's about an hour and 20 minutes. So I need to move forward with the agenda. Any questions or comments before we move forward? I want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to speak, opportunity to share. Okay. Yeah, we kind of behind, but things are gonna go fast because Baba James is not here, is he? No, he's not. Baba James. All right. Baba James is gonna give Collard Green Festival is coming up. I don't have a flyer for it right now I can share, but it'll be October 7th.
Snellville.
Yes, in Snellville, Georgia. We will discuss this again in 2 weeks. Let me see my calendar. When is 7th? That's the first Saturday. So we only really have a chance to talk about it on the 24th. So if Baba James not ready on the 24th, I don't know what type of support we planning on getting for the event, but he was supposed to talk about it today. He's not here, but on October 7th, we will be in Snellville, Georgia at the Collard Green Festival. Look it up. They should have some information like on YouTube and things like that. I'll come back at the end if I need to, but it's just a collard green competition. It's not another opportunity, an event for Black people to come together. We will be there as the UNIA promoting the UNIA, handing out brochures and trying to sign up members or activate memberships. So we were supposed to have a little brief presentation on that. The presenter is not available, so we will discuss that again at a later point. Any questions or comments? Thank you. Next thing we wanted to touch on is UNIA Constitution training or orientation. Attorney Imhotep, are you there?
Yes.
Let me give a brief. So, as we said, Attorney Imhotep serves as a counsel general. That's the head legal officer. He's responsible to the Constitution and upholding the Constitution. One of the things that we try to do in all of our meetings is at least go through the preamble of the UNIA-ACL Constitution. So, as I said, everyone should have, all active members should have a copy of the Constitution. Those that joined on Garvey Day should have gotten a copy of the Constitution. If you did not, let me know and we will make sure you get a copy. The preamble of the Constitution is the first thing that's in there. Garvey teaches us that we should commit this to memory. But this is one thing that we always share. The preamble states the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League is a social, friendly, humanitarian, charitable, educational, institutional, constructive, and expansive society, and is founded by persons desiring to the utmost to work for the general uplift of the Negro peoples of the world. And the members pledge themselves to do all in their power to conserve the rights of their noble race and to respect the rights of all mankind, believing always in the brotherhood of man and the fatherhood of God. The motto of the organization is one God, one aim, one destiny. Therefore, let justice be done to all mankind, realizing that if the strong oppresses the weak, confusion and discontent will ever mark the path of man, but with love, faith, and charity towards all, the reign of peace and plenty will be heralded into the world, and the generations of men shall be called blessed. But in a sense, we're not against anyone or any particular group. We are just for our people, and our goal is to reclaim our status as the original man and woman of the planet, the rulers of the world that don't have to rule through bloodshed, theft and other forms of crime. So, Attorney Imhotep, did you want to give an update on what we had discussed? I know we don't really have a date yet, but just give our membership a preview of what to expect with the orientation.
Yes, thank you. It's really will be a study of our Constitution, what makes us a government. This is something I learned when I first became a member of the UNIA-ACL, and Brother Ross Marvin did an excellent job of introducing us and telling us what makes a government and what Garvey and the UNIA did to form a government back in 1920. One of those 5 principles are that we must have a constitution, and as you stated very well, President John, earlier, the Constitution is the foremost document of the government that we must abide by, and it's the structure in which we operate. We will then, and then we must all know it for us to be informed and responsible Africans in the government. We must know the Constitution and abide by it. So what we will do once we start here studying the Constitution is we'll have an interactive format where I will be calling on the members to read off the different sections. We'll start with right from the beginning, and the preamble that you just read there. President John, of course, is the beginning, and we'll start from the beginning. And there are different articles that talk about the jurisdiction and the officers, their duties, the different ancillary divisions and their duties, what they do. You broke down very, very well who are members, the 2 types of members, and all the responsibilities of the members and what we're held to, and the different formations that we have. It'll take some time here. I'm thinking We'll go about an hour each meeting here. It's going to take some time. I'm thinking maybe 3 or 4 months here. It's quite a detailed document. It's really admirable what the people did back in 1920, what the government did in working to form this document. It looks like from August 1st to August 31st was that convention there. They worked 24 hours a day, and they came up with this constitution of the, call it back then, 1920, the Negro people of the world. So we will today, 100 years later, review that document. We'll try to make it as informative, again, to bring it to life today, and what we're facing, what our duties are, make it live for us to cherish and understand and appreciate not only the history, but where we see ourselves today, and what our responsibilities are, and where we will be going in the future. So that's what we have to look forward to. I encourage everyone in the meantime here to read the document. That will help us here, and I will be calling on us, each and every one of us who are in attendance here, for their input. I'm going to call on the officers here for their input also, and their insights, particularly brother President John, your input, your thoughts, and as you said, our president, Brother Ross Marvin, and his inputs and his thoughts. The elders here can really help us out in interpreting the Constitution and answer some of the questions I'm sure will be asked. And so I'm looking forward to it. It's exciting to me, and I just hope we can make it as informative and exciting to the members. So we'll get a date here, maybe, I don't know, the next mass meeting or the meeting after that. We should be ready to go and do our duty here, and do our part for the race. Thank you. Race first.
Race first. Thank you, Counsel General.
Race first.
But yes, I can't stress enough the importance of the Constitution. When I've joined, that was the first thing that I was given, was a Constitution. And I understand, you know, I honestly, I overlooked the Constitution when I first joined. It's a lot of jargon. It was very complicated, the structure of it didn't really make sense to me. But as I've matured, I've come to find an appreciation for the document. And as Counsel General said, I am also excited about getting into this document, because you know, these are the rules and regulations of the UNIA. This is what Garvey and our ancestors set in place. This was their vision. And this is, you know, now it's our time to modify this document for today as well as for the next 100 years. So, you know, I'm very excited about it. I feel like I'm getting old, you know, because I get excited about things like this as opposed to, you know, things that I used to get excited about in my youth, like playoffs or, you know, sports and things like that. Now it's Constitution. So I hope everyone understands the importance of what it is that we're trying to do. Hope everyone reviews the Constitution, get a little brief understanding on your own, get confused with it, and then I hope, you know, everyone gets excited about going through this official orientation. And this will be the first orientation or study group that I'm aware of in my time that has been led by the Counsel General. So a very special moment, very special opportunity. And I hope everyone takes advantage to provide their input on how we feel the government should be shaped for tomorrow. Any questions, comments? Delveechio, how do we get a copy of the Constitution? I will get you one, Brother Delveechio. Brother Art, if you could make a note, Brother Delveechio needs a Constitution, and we'll get that sent out to him. Give us a little bit of time. I need at least about 2 weeks. Just give me 2 weeks. You'll have it by next meeting. Dr. Shams, I got you as well. Put Dr. Shams down as well, Brother Art. Anyone else? Brother Jaylen. Okay. A Constitution, I'm assuming everyone, I know Dr. Shams, you are active dues paid. Constitution comes with active dues paid. So as long as everyone, we've got records of payments, we owe you a Constitution. If not, it's $15 for the Constitution itself. And that's base price. We don't make any profit on that. That's how much it costs to print them. Okay. All right. Link to pay dues. Well, let me jump to that really quick, and then we will continue our meeting or agenda. Let's see. Just a couple things, and then I need to get to the last thing before 7 o'clock. Let's see. I'm gonna drop these in the chat. Why did it look so? I don't know why it looks like that. cbpm.org/421 funds is our PayPal link. Cashapp $ UNIA 421 fund is our Cash App. First one was PayPal. All right. Let me keep it moving for our agenda. I think I'm on the wrong presentation. No, I'm not. Okay, here we are. Next thing that was on the agenda is report from convention. And for the new members, this may be a little bit confusing, but you joined at the perfect time. As I said, August is like the end of our fiscal year or end of our government year, and September is the beginning. So we just finished convention. Convention is our largest meeting. It's our most important meeting in the UNIA. When we talk about for those that may know, we talked about the first international conventions of the Negro peoples of the world in 1920. That was where the government was founded. That was when the 5 requirements were completed, the 5 requirements to establish a government. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. We'll talk about it again. I don't want to have to go through that right now just for the sake of time. But the convention is where that took place. Convention always takes place in August. First convention was in 1920, and we just completed our 65th convention this past year, 2023. It took place in Curacao, it's like north of South America. But officers just got back sometime last week from that meeting. Division 421, we did not have any representation that was able to attend. It was about $2,000 per person to attend, and that's just travel and lodging. So Division 421, we were trying to get 1 or 2 people down there, but we weren't able to make that happen. So we didn't have any representation. But at any rate, it's our biggest meeting, our most important meeting. And in addition to that, there's another meeting called High Executive Council that takes place in April. That's our second most important meeting. And basically, High Executive Council is just preparation for convention. But in both of these meetings, one of the most important things that we discuss in these meetings is resolutions and or amendments to the Constitution. So as Attorney Imhotep mentioned, we're going to be going through the Constitution. President Ross, how you keep coming off mute? He must have his phone in his pocket or something. So High Executive Council and Convention are our most important meetings. As we talked about, we're going to go through the Constitution. As we go through the Constitution, there will be some things that are outdated, some things that we disagree with, some things that are written in such a way that we can say we've evolved from. A lot of the language in the Constitution is male dominant. When they talk about positions, it has language like he shall hold this position or his position, and it's not, it doesn't appear to be open to female leadership in some aspects. So those are things that we can look at. Our Legion currently only allows men to serve in the Legion. If we wanted to change that, that would be something that we need to do. Our election process, how we go about elections. And one thing that everyone should know, especially new members, the UNIA is a predominantly Democratic organization, about 99% Democratic. So myself, all the officers that are in position are duly elected individuals. There's no theocratic rule. There is an aspect of approval. The President General does have the power to appoint or remove individuals. Presidents of each division have to be affirmed by the President General, and the President General appoints his cabinet. But for the most part, President General, first, second, third, fourth Assistant President General, those are all elected positions, and officers in each division.
Where are you from?
Is an elected division.
Where are you from?
President Ross.
Okay. You've always wore dresses?
This man over here. Okay, so I'm supposed to give a report from the convention. So this past convention just took place.
President John.
Yes, sir.
Before you continue, can I just add a little bit? I know we got new members. I want to just make sure that they have clarity. I know you said the HEC is to prepare for the convention, and I just wanted to just add a little clarity for that for the new members. We're talking about resolutions right now, and the HEC is where you would submit your resolution to the changes that you would want to make for convention, and then that's where we vote on the resolutions to see what gets sent to convention, and then that's when we vote on the actual changes. So HEC is important. So that's how we got to these resolutions, just so the new members would know. And each him mentioned that we are democratic. We all have the opportunity to submit resolutions before HEC, and HEC is normally in April. It's a high executive council. So any of those changes that you do seek to make, we want to have them in before January, February. That's normally when they have the open area where you submit the resolutions. And then at HEC, we vote on what gets sent to convention, and that's when they come into effect. So we all have an opportunity to, as democratic organizations, to be able to submit resolutions, and that's what we're going to be going over with the ones that they went over in convention. Yes. And the last thing I wanted to just point out for clarity too, I know you guys are hearing us say president and president general. The president general, what you'll see once you get in the Constitution, those are our parent body level, the general part, and of course, Attorney Imhotep is our he has general on his name because he's a part of the parent body. So that's the difference when you guys hear president general versus president. Presidents are the president of local division, and president general is our parent body, which is international.
Yes, sir. Thank you, First Vice President. Thank you for that clarification. Yeah, and just to President General is the office that the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey held. It's the leader, the top position in the entire government of the UNIA. That's the President General. We've combined from a American standpoint the position of president with the military position of a general. And President General. He's the head of our social affairs, economic affairs, but also the head of our military affairs. So he gets the title President General. And then local division leaders get the title of President. So thank you for that clarification. And as he said, High Executive Council is the first step. You present your resolutions of High Executive Council. If those are approved, they make it to convention, where they are re-voted on, and that kind of reinforces my stance on us being at the beginning of the year now. We just finished convention, and we have a perfect opportunity to get resolutions in place for High Executive Council. So that's what we should be planning. That's what we should be discussing, is what resolutions we want for High Executive Council. And there were some resolutions in this past convention that were fully approved. They were presented in High Executive Council in April, and High Executive Council this year was actually held here in Atlanta. So we had an opportunity to host that. There were some resolutions presented. They were approved, and they made it to be voted on in convention. The resolutions that were approved, there were 3 of them. One of the resolutions that was approved was a resolution to build a census for our race. I'll read it, just for the sake of clarity. It says, resolution building a census for our race, whereas the Honorable Marcus Garvey throughout the 1920s and 1930s constantly used the number 400 million for the estimated population of African people of the world that included those in Africa and abroad. And whereas our founder was also interested in doing our census in order to count our own numbers, therefore, initially we can refer to the UN database on population because it has the most sophisticated process for gathering data on every socio, political, and economic factor. We can use the UN until we can develop our own data gathering mechanisms. Today, the UNIA-ACL, in its objects according to its constitution of establishing a universal confraternity, has to consider the data on the number of members of our race gathered by the United Nations that is estimated 1.6 billion, which includes 1.4 billion in Africa and 200 million in its diaspora. That makes up those who are Africans at home and abroad. Once the UNI and ACL agrees to this number, then members can always say that number when referring to how many people we are seeking to unite. Once we agree to the number 1.6 billion, we can then monitor their annual growth rate so we can determine what the increase is every year, 5 years, decade, or century, so no one is going to count our race for us. My desire is that the HEC accepts my resolution so that it can be heard on the International Convention floor. this was the first resolution of 2024 that was approved in convention. Any thoughts, questions, comments on this?
For me, as a business development coordinator, it's really important because as a people, every nation tracks their gross domestic product, what they produce collectively as a whole. So as a people, we have to start measuring our output, but that first starts with measuring the input. Who all we have to be able to participate, and by tracking our people, we're able to get to that next step to now be able to track what our people are doing.
Understand.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the displacement of Africans right now in Africa alone. We're seeing them in the millions within a couple of months. So a census would definitely be something that will be beneficial, not only just to that, but also the health care of our people, being able to track them, especially with climate change and our people going to migrating to different countries at a rapid pace. I definitely believe a census would be beneficial.
Understand. Anyone else?
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, brother.
In the census, is it gonna count like individually, like how many Black people there are in every continent? Because I remember recently, not too long ago, I actually looked this up. I was trying to see like how many Black people is there in France or Mexico. They got Afro Latinos. Is there gonna count those individually so we could have that on record anywhere?
Are we counting them individually?
Not individually, but are we gonna like if I wanted to Google how many, you know what I'm saying? Like, is there going to be like a...
Can I answer that, President John?
Go ahead.
From what I see right now, we've approved the process to be able to to do a census, but I don't believe that we actually have ironed out exactly how we're going to do it yet. So the convention was last week, so I believe that with them just doing it, I may have missed some parts in the resolution from the person that submitted it that outlined that, but I don't believe that I heard that of exactly how it was going to be done. I think it was for us to be able to do it and now come up with the process of how we're going to do it.
Hi, can I just say something? I think are they going to use, you said you're going to use UN data. So there is a count. It's just not going to be our primary data. We're using data that has already been tabulated. And then a lot of times what happens with that population data is that we can extrapolate information and add propensities to it, like behaviors to it. And I would also like to add that to see if whether or not we are having a conversation about the digital currency that's going to happen. We are transitioning from a digital currency, and one of the I don't know if it's a benefit or not, but people basically will be tracked. So I think that for African people, we have to put protections in place for ourselves because we've always been vulnerable to attack. So I wonder if that's on the radar of the High Council, the central bank digital currency tying in with that census data to ensure that we have the protections for Black people, that we're not, targeted negatively. You see what I'm saying?
Yes. Digital currency has not come up. I'll read a brief portion of this one more time in regards to the UN. It says, initially, we can refer to the UN database on populations because it has the most sophisticated process for gathering data on every socio-political economic factor. We can use the UN until we develop our own data gathering mechanism. So this proposal is about two things. One, a couple things. One, verifying what the UN projects. Two, making those projections more accurate. And three, having a process where we're not dependent upon the UN's calculations, but we can say amongst ourselves, based on our calculations, there are 1.65 billion Africans globally, with so many on the continent, and we can locate the others. I think in theory, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense, but for me, I struggle to have this as a priority, because for me, I feel that in organizing, we automatically do this. So we can do a census on how many Africans are in Atlanta or Georgia, and say, hey, there's so many million, so many 100,000 Africans in Georgia, or so many 100,000 in Atlanta, and that's great. But we still have to do the work of organizing those individuals. So for me, my thought process is, why don't we just organize our people, and then we can work backwards? Like Lisa is asking for, she wants to know how many members are active members. And we can, since we have that information, we can just pull that information and say, hey, this is the number that we have. So I see it. I'm just concerned with how we're going to do it, what type of time and effort we're going to put into it, what type of funding we're going to put into it. And I would like to know the connection between knowing how many people we have and what it takes to convert those members into active members. But the general concept of a census, it's hard to disagree with. Anybody else have any comments on that before we go to our next resolution?
So now that it's passed, President John, are they putting together a committee to be able to come up with how we're going to do it ourselves? Or I don't remember them saying on the call how we're going to move forward.
Right, and that's another one of my issues. We create proposals that basically create a whole nother set of work. So instead of having a membership committee, now we have to create a census committee, and we have to have someone lead that committee, just for the purpose of counting people. But as of right now, there is no official system. We as officers, we have to push that discussion on President's call. This is something that we as an organization felt was important enough to make an official resolution. Then we should be driving it to make sure it becomes a reality, and we're making progress this year as well as next year. And it's not just something that, one thing that I don't want us to do, which I've seen, is we get into a rhythm of just doing things. So we make proposals, we vote on them, we say, good job, yeah, this is good. We make, resolutions, say this is good, but then we never follow up on it. And then we come back 2 years later with the same proposal. And that's kind of one of the things that has happened this year that I'll touch on a little bit later, but that's just my thoughts. We have to push that, but we have to be careful, because if you push it too hard, they're going, just like we do here, they'll assign you the responsibility. And that become, this is not something that I ever wanted or agreed with, but now I have a responsibility to make it a reality instead of focusing on my local division. So we have to carefully push that and make sure, the High Executive Council and parent body is committed to these resolutions. Dr. Shams, hold on, Brother Art. Dr. Shams had his hand up.
Yes, if you look at the model for census that the Moorish American government uses, they use an online system. It's like an application and a counter. You fill out the application and you automatically encounter it, and it tells you at the bottom, welcome home. you know, so they know by the count that you have registered, you know, and you know for yourself that you have registered because of what you read the welcome message at the end of the census application. Peace and race first.
First, thank you, Dr. Shams, and that's kind of where I was going. Having a registration process instead of just a counting process. So, you know, as we're going through billions of individuals, why not just, you know, go through the process of activating 1 billion memberships? And then we know for a fact how, you know, not only how many people we have, but how many supporters we have. And it eliminates double work because, you know, it's like going to somebody's house, knocking on the door, saying, you know, how many people do you have in the house? They say 5. And then you come back a week later, you know, asking these 5 people to sign up for membership. Why not just get the, you know, once you knock on the door the first time, you have 5 people. All right, we'd like to sign up these 5 people for membership. That's my thoughts. Brother Art.
Yeah. My question is, does the parent body have a database on the motherland on the continent where they have the contacts to actually do this?
Ooh, excellent question. Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge. We do have relationships in certain regions and in certain countries, but collectively throughout the entire continent, I'm pretty sure we do not have. And thank you, Brother Art. You know, I don't know if that's inherent in this process, but that would be one of the first steps that I would think we need to do is organizing our areas in our areas. So, you know, Ghana, for example, you know, who are the leaders in Ghana? What is our relationship with the leaders in Ghana? And we could just ask Ghana, you know, once we establish a good relationship, just ask Ghana, how many residents do you have? Same thing, Sierra Leone, you know, establish a relationship with the leadership, have a level of diplomacy, and exchange information. So I'm curious to see how we plan on executing it. If we plan on, you know, I really don't know. I feel like it has to be a level of relationship. I don't think we're just going to go around, you know, the leadership in Ghana and just start handing out a census to its members. That doesn't make any sense.
No, but I think, can I just chime in? I think your thought process is correct, Jonathan. Like when major companies are looking to explore a new market, they do look at secondary information that give you the count, but you want to know exactly who you're talking to, and the value is in the data, the information, the demographics. So I agree with you and everyone that said, let's build a membership, let's build a database, let's get our local areas, that sample data secure, and let the high council, because that's expensive to do. It costs millions of dollars to do something like that, to get that much data, secure it, process it
Sister Shanta, I'm sorry. I accidentally muted you. Can you unmute?
Oh yeah, I just said it was a very expensive process to kind of gather that much data on an individual chapter. It's more like a nationwide kind of global investment to gather population data on every African, because based on Garvey, every African is a part of the government. So that's why we would want to know everyone. Our membership is a little different than most memberships. You have to sign up, but in order to really get that demographic data, we have to come up with an electronic form process where people can just put their name, email address in a form. I know TikTok and all these other social media platforms are evolving to be more data analytic collectors. So those are some things that we could leverage, and I'll help out. I have capacity for a couple months.
Thank you, Sister Shanta. Yeah, and that's kind of where I was going, was the the magnitude, that's the right word, of this type of endeavor, and the amount of energy, manpower, and finances that would really go into. I think, it's unfortunate, but I hope that we're not being delusional about what we're requesting. And I hope that the things that we're requesting, the things that we're putting into place, are being well thought out to where they are reasonable and feasible to execute. So,
if I could just say one last thing, what we're doing is right on track with what most governments are trying to do. Know who their people are individually down to the granular level, and we have the data and technology to do it. So yeah, it's just costly. You could do it because most everyone is linked in somehow online, a social media platform. But it's just that, we have to scale it to our capabilities, and it's extremely expensive. That's all I can say.
but yeah, we'll have more information on that next month. We'll have another president's call at the beginning of October, so we'll see. We won't expect much updates in a month, but we have to press the issue, what the plans. First Vice President.
Yeah. Just from my history in UNIA, I feel like we as a division should create our a committee of members who will put together their ideas so that we can put together a draft on how to do it. That could be a way we send it through email or whatever, because I normally what happens is, they have these ideas, they vote on them. And I feel like we as a division, we are the kind of like the catalyst for change and execution within the UNIA. And I think us taking on that mantle to be able to do that, it will help a lot of stuff get done a lot faster. So it could be one thing to say, hey, let's wait to see what they're going to do, but I think we should take a kind of lead on it, and just our ideas on how it should be, not necessarily us trying to, but just help them with our ideas that we have and be able to present it on the president's call. Because I hear some great feedback from like Shanta and some other members. So I feel like how you think it should go, if you could maybe draft up an email on maybe how it should go, I think that would be very helpful, and we could kind of be able to present that on the next president's call. And just for more, we have our more information about how the UNIA is ran for the new members. Of course, we have our mass meetings on the individual level, and then all the presidents from all the divisions come together on the first Wednesday of the month, and we discuss things. So that's what we mean with the president's call. And then the High Executive Council, they come together and they meet as well. And the High Executive Council is those executive leaders, the generals, who are voted into their positions as well. So that's when we talk about the president's call, what we're referencing when all the presidents from divisions come together.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Brother Omasyus, for that clarification. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and yes, we can do that. We do have to prioritize, and we do have to, we got to introduce a new word into our executive body, and that's bandwidth.
Yes.
There's a lot of things that we want to do, a lot of things that we discuss, but we have to be realistic about who's putting in the work, who's putting in the hours, and how much we can actually get done. And our focus has to be, well, it doesn't have to be, but I'm asking for our focus to be our division, our jurisdiction, and our resolutions. So we can come up with ways to implement ideas and to get things going for the benefit of the government as a whole. But I don't want us to overlook what are our proposals first and foremost. Question. Please let me know how to count membership. We got you, Sister Shanta. Brother Art, put a star next to Sister Shantae's name in membership. Okay, so that was our first resolution for a census. Second resolution that's gone through High Executive Council and Convention is to establish travel agencies, whereas to establish travel agencies is the essence of it. It states establishing travel agencies, whereas divisions will always be in the business of transporting Africans around the world to the HEC and international convention meetings. And whereas the UNIA and ACL divisions can set up transportation to anywhere in the African world for non-UNIA and ACL members and non-UNIA and ACL events. Therefore, there are several things division leaders can do to help with traveling. One, it's time to start travel agencies in all divisions. And two, they can plan far enough in advance so that members can start saving for the trip, including travel, hotel, food, and travel, hotel, and food. Members can be encouraged to have HEC and convention fundraisers in their respective divisions to cover traveling expenses, and divisions can get group rates for hotels and rates to travel to attend special events to save money. And these travel agencies can operate out of private locations, their division offices, or have home-based businesses. If the division operates an agency out of its meeting space, the travel agency can help with paying the rent or mortgage. Travel training and all its dynamics can be discussed annually at all local meetings as well as HEC and convention meeting. Here is where we can discuss where there are problems and where Africans should not travel. A travel agent working in an office on a typical day might be working with clients, setting up travel plans, marketing, training, and business management. Every UNI and ACL member should be encouraged to go to Jamaica to visit the shrine of Marcus Garvey's birthday or for commemorations. We can create proper documents that can get our UNI and ACL diplomats in certain parts of the world to do our work, i.e. relief, education, etc. Another special event could include traveling to Harlem, New York, to the sites where UNI ACL activities took place in the 1920s. They can also arrange trips to the continent of Africa or the Caribbean for events held by the African Union or such events as the inauguration of African and Caribbean heads of states. They can also help UNI and ACA members who want to travel to disaster relief. They can arrange travel to the United Nations events when heads of state will be present. My desire is that the HEC will accept my resolution so it can be heard on the international convention floor. That is a lot. For me, it seems a little bit vague as to what it's actually proposing. At any rate, it has been approved at convention. Questions, comments on travel agencies?
I'll jump in first, President John. I feel like I remember I presented a bus company, the Black Star Line app, like I think it was a couple of years ago, but like you say, bandwidth. So for me, it's kind of nostalgic. I see this is something that I've actually thought about a lot for our race, to be able to move between people, because connecting and being able to connect with each other, I feel like is one of the greatest tools that we have to unify and get things done. So all the different things that they listed of ways that it would be useful, I agree with 100%. And with the ultimate premises, and we have to create opportunities for us to be able to connect. So I definitely am on this committee. I feel like this is important for us to be able to travel, and also a great revenue generator. It will be also for our division.
I got you. Yeah, again, we are good at solving problems, but we're not going to put everything on ourselves. I would like to see what the HEC's proposal is to address these issues or to address these resolutions. Before we do the work for everybody, these are not our resolutions. Someone presented them. With a resolution should come an idea as to how to make it a reality. Our resolutions are not supposed to be a wish list, where it's not Santa Claus on Christmas where we're just writing a list of things that we want. But they should be things that we have a true desire to see become a reality. And if we do have a true desire, then it should come with a level of plans. Delveechio, appreciate you coming through, brother. What time is it? 7:30. Okay. Yeah, we're not going to be able to get through. We're probably just going to be able to get through resolutions, and I'll have to save officer training introduction for next meeting. But so that's our second resolution to the Constitution, is an idea about a travel agency. It's time to start travel agencies in all divisions. So I want to see how it starts. It should start on a parent body level, HEC level, or it should start at the level of the division that submitted the resolution. So I want to let them take the lead, let them develop, processes and procedures, and then we can duplicate and improve that for our local region. Questions, comments on travel agencies?
I did have a comment on it.
Go ahead, Brother Terrell.
Travel agencies are good and everything, but it just seems as though, like you said, the local division, the local environment, the regional states and everything, I'm not even sure we have enough transportation to get to New York on if there was a catastrophic event that happened, like where's our buses here in the United States? Where's our SUVs now in the United States? Where are we able to just get on a flight on our own type of plane and get down to Florida right quick, or travel to Washington, D.C. whenever we needed to, if there was a march or anything or something going on? Of course, we have to look out for Africa, but I definitely think we need a base. I believe someone said not too long ago that we as Black Africans in America should be the base for Blacks around the world.
Yeah.
So I think we need to focus regional first, get our transportation here. So if there's anything we needed to do to transport, import, we can actually do it here and set an example for the rest of the world, that Black diaspora. So, yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Brother Terrell. And yes, you're absolutely right. And I do believe it is inherent in the proposal that there are regional travel agencies that connect with other regions. So it's almost like a good example would be Montgomery bus boycotts. In Montgomery, when they were doing the bus boycotts, Black people had to establish different modes of transportation. So had to come together, have meetings and basically carpools and things like that. And they would, use that to get transportation around their city.
Mm-hmm.
So from an Atlanta standpoint, from a city standpoint, it would be first thing I see is vans, Sprinter vans or something like that. We all, get a couple, 2 or 3 vans. Eventually we work our way up to SUVs and buses. But we start out small, within a specific region, working transportation, working logistics, and then expanding and growing to have more people and to go further distances. But that's why I say I want to see how another division proposes it, because we have our ideas and, we're pretty smart and we know how to develop programs, but I want to see what they do, what our leadership does. And if they just jump out the window and say, every division needs to have a bus first. And let's see what's the cost of that. And, is it realistic to do that? But I want to put the ball in their court before we take over. But I do think it's implied to be regional and work our way up to where we can, travel from Atlanta to Detroit, Los Angeles, whatever it may be. But it's a good thing that these proposals go through, because it's an agreement on the highest level to make it a reality. So, we shouldn't get any pushback when we say, hey, we're trying to start a transportation business. We need $5,000, to lease a vehicle. It should be okay. That's part of the resolutions that we just submitted. You guys got a plan. Here's your funding. That's what I'm looking for. Baba James, you got a question?
How does the travel agency transpire in regards to the Universal Motor Corps, where they have the responsibility for transportation of Africans within the division?
That is a great question, and I don't have the answer to that. I'll have to go to the Constitution itself. I really don't know, and again, that's the importance of political maturity. These are great questions, but unfortunately, we were not able to be on the floor at convention, and I don't know if these questions came up as these proposals were voted on.
Thank you. Race first.
No problem. So in the Constitution, rules and regulations, African Motor Corps, all active members, between ages 45, male membership, however, management, it's auxiliary, trained military discipline. They should also be given such automobile instructions. The Universal Head Motor Corps, local law, train license show 4. This is a sister. Rules and regulations for juveniles. What? Wow, that's pretty short. That's a good question. So I think what they will say is the object of this auxiliary is to assist the Universal African Legions. So they will probably say that the Motor Corps is more of a military specialization, even though that I think that's a bad category to put it in because it limits its capabilities. But that's a good question, Brother Art. If you could make a note on that, and I will try to get that answered at the next president's call. Any other questions? 7:38. We want to close out in about 20 minutes. Just got a couple other things to touch on. We should be good with time. No questions? Baba James, put your hand down.
Yes, President John. I was wondering which division proposed the travel agency?
Which division?
Yes.
Shaka Barak, Division 429. He proposed the census as well as the travel agency.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. Good question. If there aren't any other questions, I'll move to our last resolution. Okay, the final resolution that was approved in convention last month was proposed by Brother Timothy Gooseby of Division 429 in Chicago. So resolutions were 429 dominant. For Division 429 had all 3 resolutions that made it to convention as well as passed convention. The last proposal was planned major national and international fundraiser for UNIA-ACL headquarters building.
President John, correction. There were more that were. These are the 3 that passed. Just to clarify.
What did I say?
They were the major ones that went to convention but there were some that got denied that are now on this list.
Yes, the ones that passed in convention, the 3 that passed in convention, all 3 came from the same division. Chicago Division 429. And that's all that the last one is. It doesn't have a long breakdown. It's just it was agreed upon to plan major national and international fundraiser for UNIA-ACL headquarters. The headquarters is in, oh wait, this was presented by Imamu Kuumba, Division 330. 330. But at any rate, it was approved. And I'll give my comments on it. I mean, as we said in last, some of our executive officers were in a meeting yesterday. In general theory, it's a good idea, but this is one of those ideas that repeat. So, just last year, 2022, we went through this very thing of a major national, international fundraiser for the headquarters. And, you know, I'm interested to see what changes, you know, if they decide to appoint a new head of fundraising to try to get a different result. But this feels like we're doing the same thing that we just did. So those are just my thoughts. Any questions, comments on our resolutions?
Now that we all done with them all, I agree with that point you're just saying right now. And I'm on the committee with the Minister of Labor and Industries, and I'm just a general comment. I believe that a lot of these people are submitting their wish list, and I know you said they shouldn't be that way, but that's just kind of from what I've noticed, and that's one of the reasons that we keep coming back around with these things, because we have people, you know, and because of everybody's bandwidth and everybody's trying to figure out what to do, they get bogged down. A lot of stuff don't get done. That's why I believe that whatever we can do to take lead on just on different initiatives, we just have to be the example of organization and of executing programs here in our division, and then we'll allow others to see how we do stuff. But that's just a general comment. But I 100% agree with us focusing on our division first. But and let's just be an example this year at 421, and let's just make sure our programs are again executed in. And so we don't keep saying the same thing over and over again, like we're saying with this initiative here, which we've been trying to raise money for national headquarters for years now.
Several years, yes. Several years. For the new members, the international headquarters of the UNIA is located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I want to say we've had the building since 1972. Or 1970s. In the 90s, the building caught fire, and it has not been in complete service since the 90s. We've been working over the years to reconstruct the building. As of last year, we were in the process of a $1 million fundraiser to restore the building. So, you know, we raised few $1,000s here and there. We're constantly in discussions. We have a regular international headquarters meeting every other Saturday where we discuss how much funds we have and what needs to be done and what is being done with those funds. But at any rate, we've approved another international fundraiser. So that's something else that we'll have to follow up with the HEC on, and you know, get a report as to what the plans are for international fundraising and what the expectation is for us as a local division. But again, as Brother Omasyus said, our focus has to be local. If there's one thing that we want to show the rest of the UNIA, it is how to be a constitutional division, how to have 500 active members. That is our focus. That's our goals. If we can do that, you know, we will be a lot more self-sufficient to where, I'll say this, where we're not held back by the parent body or the what seems to be a lack of focus from our leadership. And I can say that, you know, I don't expect anybody else to say that, but we just have to set the example and set the example of understanding what the priority is. And all of these things that we're discussing, as divisions, we should be focusing on membership and growing our membership. So that's one thing I'm focused on. The other thing that I'm focused on from a resolution standpoint is, as I said earlier, this is a democratic organization, and we've been trying to work so that during our democratic processes, there's a fairness in the voices that are heard. So from an election standpoint, we're trying to do electronic elections. That has been shot down from our leadership. They do not agree with the process of electronic elections. They don't think it's secure for whatever reason. But that's one of the fights that we need our people to help us out with, especially our younger people, is helping to progress the organization and utilize some of the technology that's available to us today to make things easier and allow people's voices to be heard. Any questions on resolutions before I go to last few comments?
And for the electronic voting, that's for the parent body level, not for the local divisions. I'll clarify, right?
Yes, local divisions, we still have the ability and we still utilize electronic voting, but from parent body level. And one thing to keep in mind, 2024 is an election year. So every 4 years we re-elect President General, first, second, third, and fourth President Generals. So those offices are up for election this coming August. But the way our government is currently set up, you have to be in person to make a vote. So just like we went through convention this in August, and I'm reading you the resolutions that came out of convention. Since we as a division, we were not present, we did not have a vote or a voice at convention. So we kind of just go along with what has been decided for us. And we'd like to, as I said, we'd like to change that process and modernize our government. I don't have to be, well, yeah, I guess I do. Yeah, you still got to be in person for elections. Well, they have election sites. I don't have to drive to DC to vote for the president of the United States. Whereas in the UNIA, you had to go to Curacao to make your voice known. But
this should be in New York. This should be in New York, right, President John?
Yes, in August this year, 2024, the convention will be in New York, and the people that attend the convention will be able to vote on the office, the highest office of our government. Questions, comments? Okay. Yeah, that was the last thing that I had. Those are the updates from convention, is the resolutions and the location of the next convention. So, Brother Omasyus, we need to be talking about Philadelphia, and we need to, get some things in place for Philadelphia as soon as possible by December for sure.
But HEC, right? HEC is gonna be in Philadelphia this year.
Yes, HEC in Philadelphia. So that comes up first. We want to make sure we have as much participation as possible.
I just want to say too, like the HEC and convention are two major events, and attending these events is when you really, really get the value and culture of the UNIA, being able to meet people from all around the world. So right now, that's going to be in April, and convention is going to be in New York in August. So if anybody, I encourage everyone who can to come and go. But like I said, one thing, we have to have our resolutions in for HEC also. And I know I'm definitely going to be in Philadelphia. That's my second home, for anybody that knows. And I'll be ready, President John.
Yes, sir. Thank you, First Vice President. So we got 10 minutes. I don't have enough time to really get into course of African philosophy. I will save that for our next meeting. For new members as well as current members, Course of African Philosophy is the official officers training course that was developed by Marcus Garvey in 1937. We still use that course here at Division 421, and we have opened that up to all officers in the UNIA to participate in our officers training. But it's very important, very critical for those that are aspiring for a level of leadership. I encourage you to pick up that text and get involved and participate in our officers training. It will officially start on the last Tuesday of September. Let's see what I'm sharing. Yeah, I'm sharing the right thing. It'll start on the last Tuesday of September, September 26th. And the reasoning for that is Marcus Garvey's original course, I believe, based on the text, he started on September 27th. Our study group days are Tuesday, so 26th is as close to the 27th as we can get. So officially on September 26th, we will start officers training. If there isn't anything else, then I'll read a short passage from Philosophies and Opinions to take up our last 5 to 10 minutes. One moment. Okay. Let's see, where is it? All right. This is one of my favorite speeches that Marcus Garvey gave. I will read a little bit of it. Try to, because this thing's so good. Man, it's hard to stop. Yeah, it's a lot in here. All right, let me just get started. Title of the speech is The Principles of the Universal Negro Improvement Association. This was a speech delivered at Liberty Hall, New York City, USA, November 25th, 1922. And one of the things that I like to do, since Garvey gives dates, since we got a lot of dates for Garvey's messages and things like that, I like to backtrack Garvey's age. And if I did the math correctly, Garvey would have been 37 years old at the time he gave this speech. So very young man. Obviously he was ahead of his time. He's still ahead of us right now, and it's 2023. We still haven't really caught up to his philosophies. But speech says, as again, the title of the speech, The Principles of the Universal Negro Improvement Association. Over 5 years ago, the Universal Negro Improvement Association placed itself before the world as the movement through which the new and rising Negro would give expression of his feelings. This association adopts an attitude not of hostility of other races and peoples of the world, but an attitude of self-respect, of manhood on behalf of the 400 million Negroes of the world. We represent peace, harmony, love, human sympathy, human rights, and human justice. And that is why we fight so much. Wheresoever human rights are denied to any group, wheresoever justice is denied to any group, there the UNIA finds a cause. And at this time, among all peoples of the world, the group that suffers the most from injustice, the group that's denied the most rights that belong to all humanity, is the Black group of 400 million. Because of that injustice, because of that denial of our rights, we go forth under the leadership of the one who is always on the side of right to fight the common cause of humanity. To fight as we fought in the Revolutionary War, as we fought in the Civil War, as we fought in the Spanish-American War, as we fought in the war between 1914 and 1918 on the plains of France and Flanders, as we fought up to the heights of Mesopotamia. Even so, under the leadership of the UNIA, we are marshaling the 400 million Negroes of the world to fight for the emancipation of the race and the redemption of the country of our leaders, of our fathers. We represent a new line of thought among Negroes. Whether you call it advanced thought or reactionary thought, I do not care. If it is reactionary for people to seek independence in government, then we are reactionary. If it is advanced thought for people to seek liberty and freedom, then we represent the advanced school of thought among the Negroes of this country. We of the UNIA believe that what is good for the other fellow is good for us. If government is something that is worthwhile, if government is something that is appreciable and helpful and protective to others, then we also want to experiment in government. We do not mean a government that will make us citizens without rights or subjects without consideration. We mean the kind of government that will place our race in control, even as other races are in control of their own governments. That does not suggest anything that is unreasonable. It was not unreasonable for George Washington, the great hero and father of the country, to have fought for the freedom of America, giving us this great republic and this great democracy. It is not unreasonable for the liberals of France to have fought against the monarchy to give the world French democracy and French republicanism. It was no unrighteous cause that led Tolstoy to sound the call of liberty in Russia, which has ended in giving the world the social democracy of Russia, an experiment that will probably prove to be a boon and a blessing to mankind. If it was not an unrighteous cause that led Washington to fight for the independence of this country and led the liberals of France to establish the republic, it is therefore not unrighteous. It is not an unrighteous cause for the UNIA to lead 400 million Negroes all over the world to fight for the liberation of our country. Therefore, the UNIA is not advocating the cause of church building, because we have significantly large number of churches among us to minister the spiritual needs of the people, and we are not going to compete with those who are engaged in so splendid a work. We are not engaged in building any new social institutions in YMCAs or YWCAs because there are enough social workers engaged in those praiseworthy efforts. We are not engaged in politics because we have enough local politicians, Democrats, Socialists, Soviets, Republicans, etc. And the political situation is well taken care of. We are not engaged in domestic politics, in church building, or in social uplift work, but we are engaged in nation building. So that's Marcus Garvey, 1922. I'll continue a few minutes. The essay continues. A couple things. Misrepresentations. In advocating the principles of the association, we find we have been very much misunderstood and very much misrepresented by men from within our own race as well as others from without. Any reform movement that seeks to bring about changes for the benefit of humanity is bound to be misrepresented by those who have always taken it upon themselves to administer to and lead the unfortunate and to direct those who may be placed under temporary disadvantages. It has been so in all other movements, whether social or political. Hence, those of us in the Universal Negro Improvement Association who lead do not feel in any way embarrassed about this misrepresentation, about this misunderstanding as far as the aims and objects of the Universal Negro Improvement Association go. But those who probably would have kindly taken notice to this great movement have been led to believe that this movement seeks not to develop the goodwill, to the good within the race, but to give expression to that which is most destructive and most harmful to society and to government. Not seeking government within a government. The Universal Negro Improvement Association is not seeking to build up another government within the bounds or boundaries of the United States of America. The Universal Negro Improvement Association is not seeking to disrupt any organized system of government, but the association is determined to bring Negroes together for the building up of a nation of their own. And why? Because we have been forced to it. We have been forced to it throughout the world, not only in America, not only in Europe, but not only in the British Empire, but wheresoever the Black man happens to find himself, he has been forced to do for himself. This ain't the last. I'm gonna finish quickly. To talk about government is little more than some of our people can appreciate just at this time. The average man does not think that way. Just because he finds himself a citizen or a subject of some country, he seems to say, why should there be any need for any other government? We are French, English, or American. But we of the UNIA have studied this question of nationality among Negroes, this American nationality, this British nationality, this French, Italian, or Spanish nationality, and have discovered that it counts for naught when the nationality comes in conflict with the racial idealism of the group that rules. When our interests clash with those of the ruling faction, then we find that we have absolutely no rights. In times of peace, when everything is all right, Negroes have a hard time. Wherever we go, wheresoever we find ourselves, getting those rights that belong to us in common with others whom we claim as fellow citizens. Getting that consideration that should be ours by right of the Constitution, by right of the law. But in the time of trouble, they make us all partners in the cause, as happens in the last war when we were partners, whether British, French, or American Negroes, and we were told that we must forget everything in an effort to save the nation. Last thing, and then we'll close out. The difference between the UNIA and other organizations. The difference between the Universal Negro Improvement Association and other movements of this country and probably the world is that the Universal Negro Improvement Association seeks independence of government, while the other organizations seek to make the Negro a secondary part of existing governments. We differ from the organizations in America because they seek to subordinate the Negro as a secondary consideration in a great civilization, knowing that in America, the Negro will never reach his highest ambition, knowing that the Negro in America will never get his constitutional rights. All these organizations which are fostering the improvement of the Negroes in the British Empire know that the Negro in the British Empire will never reach the height of his constitutional rights. What do I mean by constitutional rights in America? If the black man is to reach the height of his ambition in this country, if the black man is to get all of his constitutional rights in America, then the black man should have the same chance in the nation as any other man to become president of the nation or a street cleaner in New York. If the black man in the British Empire is to have all his constitutional rights, it means that the Negro in the British Empire should have at least the same right to become premier of Great Britain as he has to become street cleaner in the city of London. Are they prepared to give us such political equality? You and I can live in the United States of America for 100 more years, and our generations may live for 200 or 500 more years. And as long as there is a black and white population, then the majority is on the side of the white race, you will never be able to get political justice or political equality in this country. Then why should a black man with rising ambition, after preparing himself in every possible way to give expression to that highest ambition, allow himself to be kept down by racial prejudice within a country? If I am as educated as the next man, if I am as prepared as the next man, if I have passed through the best schools and colleges and universities as the other fellow, why should I not have a fair chance to compete with the other fellow for the biggest position in the nation? I have feelings, I have blood, I have senses like the other fellow. I have ambition, I have hope. Why should he, because of some racial prejudice, keep me down, and why should I concede to him the right to rise over me and to establish himself as my permanent master? That is where the UNIA differs from other organizations. I refuse to stultify my ambition, and every true Negro refuses to stultify his ambition to suit anyone. And therefore, the UNIA decides if America is not big enough for two presidents, if England is not big enough for two kings, then we are not going to quarrel over the matter. We will leave one president in America and we will leave one king in England. We will leave one president in France and we will have one president in Africa. Hence, the Universal Negro Improvement Association does not seek to interfere with the social and political systems of France, but by the arrangement of things today, the UNIA refuses to recognize any political or social system in Africa except that which we are about to establish for ourselves. And I'll stop there. Baba James, you came on late. We did have a section for the Collard Green Fest, but we probably need to move it out to next mass meeting. Would that be okay? Will you be able to provide an update in 2 weeks?
Sure can.
Okay. Did anyone have any comments before we move to close?
Yes, is
Remind us where you read it from, President John?
Brother Kenwater online?
No, Kim Water was not online. He's not.
Okay. If you could mention his event Saturday, the 16th.
Yes. Let me see. Brother Macy's, were you gonna share something? I'll get
No, I was just saying, could you remind us where you're reading it from in case somebody wants to find that what you were just reading?
Sure. So that was a speech titled The Principles of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, a speech delivered at Liberty Hall, New York City, November 25th, 1922. It can be found on page 93, volume 2 of the Philosophy and Opinions of Marcus Garvey. One of my favorite lectures. I constantly go back to that time and time again to make sure we got the right foundation and making sure we're sticking to that foundation. The red, black, and green as a idea has been somewhat co-opted over the years, and that's part of the reason why I'm here in the UNIA, serving as an officer in the UNIA. It took me myself over 30 years to understand the relationship between Marcus Garvey, the red, black, and green flag, and the UNIA-ACL. And those three things are inseparable. And we have to make sure that as the next generation comes to the knowledge of the red, black, and green flag, comes to the knowledge of Marcus Garvey as a leader and as an ancestor, they also remember what I like to consider Marcus Garvey's firstborn child, and that is the UNIA-ACL itself. So we have to keep this alive, keep the Constitution alive, keep our aims and objectives, our ideals. This is when Garvey said the greatest weapon used against the Negro is disorganization. The organization that he gave us was the UNIA-ACL, and that's what we hold true to today. Anybody else have anything in closing? I'm trying to get the flyer up. Yeah, we're gonna close out. We're definitely gonna close out in about 5 minutes. I'm just trying to share a flyer before we close. Yeah, here we go.
The flyer President John trying to share is our second vice president.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we should support all of our officers and our members whenever they're doing things. So that this Saturday, Brother Kenwater is having an event. So let's see if we can get as much members of the division down to show that love and support for Brother Kenwater and his wife. Because remember that his wife is the one that secured all the advertisement for us on Marcus Garvey Day.
Absolutely.
So we definitely have to return the support to them and their family.
Absolutely.
He's also our outreach coordinator.
Yep, community outreach. So our charity events, he's a major lead on most of those events. So let me share screen. We'll close out. This is as large as I'm able to make it. Let's see. Okay. So if anybody was a vendor at Garvey Day, you should know Sister Shelley. She secured probably 95% of our vendors for Garvey Day. They're having an event. Let me see what this I don't know what that says. Natural shop. One stop natural shop. They've got a storefront in Forest Park at, I forgot the name of the place. It's like International Discount Mall, I think is the name of it. But next week, 16th, we want to go out and show support. I think this is their 3rd year in the facility. So they're having a gathering at the facility. I will be there asking all officers to be there and show support to one of our members. But this is what Garveyism is about. We come together, we form a network, we form a collective, and then we activate that network to attend, events like this and provide a surge of resources to individuals in need. And, from the concept of a susu, we should be passing that energy around. So she's having an event now. We had Garvey Day last month. Everyone attended that. We did have Black Family Day yesterday. And we need to have more focus on those events as well, where we're coming together with other Black organizations in the city. That was yesterday. We still had good attendance, and next week we want to, show out in mass and support Sister Shelley, so that when we ask for her support again, we know that we have her support. Questions, comments on upcoming event?
Yes, President John.
Yes,
I know we've been having some community events and some feeding events and different events, working together with other Black organizations in the community. I think that definitely should be part of our agenda during the announcement session. Whatever collective activity the UNIA having with other organizations, we definitely should bring it to our members and see if we can get our members to fully support these great events that's happening, like this one coming this Saturday.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we that you're absolutely right. But as you taught me, we have to have a focus on our executive body. And that's where I've been trying to focus, is getting our executive body on board, getting our executive body to be consistent in support and showing up. And then once we got that, we open it up to our membership. One thing that I didn't want is, and this is our officers, we have to take responsibility, but if we're promoting events and our membership is showing up to the events, but our officers are not, I don't think that sends the right message. It's a form of hypocrisy. We're asking others to do something that we wouldn't do ourselves, and that's not something that I agree with. We have to take the lead. We have to be leaders. We have to set the example. We should not be asking members or anyone to do something that we're not committed to doing ourselves. So again, we just have to set the example, and then we can open it up to our membership. That's been my thought.
I agree.
Thank you. Anybody else? Questions, comments as we close out?
It will be a beautiful day when our division executive acts as one body. If we say, all right, we're all going to this event September 16th, we have a minimum of 10 or more officers attending the event.
Yes, sir.
That's where we have to get to, because as President John said, our executive is the steering committee for our division. And if we are on point, then everything else our division doing is going to be on point.
Absolutely.
So I support what you're saying, President.
Thank you. Yeah, and that has been a shift in my focus. You worked with me several years, and I've always tried to kind of work from the bottom up and make sure everyone is involved, all the membership is involved. But our executives, we really have to be serious. We got to step up this year, and if we cannot step up, we need to step aside, step down, and allow others to assume that responsibility. One of the things that I was going to touch on in course of African philosophy is, and I've said it before. Let me see. Okay, responsibility. Can't find it right now. I think it's right here in the first. It's in the beginning. I was gonna read preface in the foreword. I'll read it in 2 weeks. I'll just read the first page and we'll head out. But this is to our officers specifically, and I expect all officers. Yeah, we talked about it, but there has to be a rites of passage. There has to be a process of development that we go through that makes us not better than, but different compared to others that aspire to be in a position of leadership. Garvey says, in keeping with the constitutional provisions and the aims and objects of the Universal Negro Improvement Association to establish schools and colleges for the racial education of our race, the founder and president general of the UNIA, Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, made several attempts to educate some and re-educate others who would be charged with the responsibility of leadership in the UNIA. He sincerely felt that no one should be held responsible for his actions unless he or she is educated or trained to perform those responsibilities. And since the UNIA had become the largest responsible movement in racial history, its leadership should be thoroughly informed so that the proper information would be dispensed. Marcus Garvey was a man of vision, therefore his students had to be visionaries. This is the very first page of this text, serious text. But in essence, you know, this is for those that aspire to a position of leadership. I wasn't even showing the text, sorry. So this is the text. This is what I just read. I scrolled up to show table of contents is the next thing. So it's the very first thing. What I was showing is our officers. And if you look at the key down here, those that have a star have gone through the course of African philosophy. But I expect everyone in a position of leadership to go through some form of leadership training. And as far as I know, Division 421 is the only division that offers leadership training. And we've been doing it. We've done it for 2 years. We'll have our 3rd year coming up this year. And if what I just read and what Garvey has put together is not what we consider to be the best leadership course for officers in the UNIA, we need to discuss that and come to an agreement as to what is, so that we can start discussing that and training on that as soon as possible. But until that comes up, we will continue with Course of African Philosophy as our official officers training. I don't have anything else. We are 18 minutes over. I'm waiting for somebody to motion to move to close and someone to second.
Definitely motion move to close, President John.
Do we have a second?
I second the motion, President John.
Thank you, Baba James. All in agreement to close out?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that's a unanimous yes. Last call, unanimous yes. Okay, thank you, brothers and sisters. A little bit of a long meeting, very important meeting. I think this was a very productive meeting. So we're gonna we've got the meeting being recorded, and we will be able to share it on YouTube, Division 421 YouTube, hopefully within a week or definitely within 2 weeks. So that's all I have. Baba James, if you would, could you please close us out?
Okay, family. Please put your fist in the air and repeat after me. One God.
One God.
One God.
One aim.
One aim.
One destiny.
One
destiny.
Africa.
Africa.
For the Africans.
For the Africans.
Those at home.
Those at
home.
And those abroad.
and those abroad.
Race first.
Race
Race
first.
first. Race first.
Hey, Wagwan. Wagwan, just a come out meeting now, UNIA meeting.
Brother John, I got a question for you.
Go ahead, brother.
I don't remember I don't know if I heard him correctly, but when we was talking about the census, right?
Yeah.
I forgot who it was, but he said he was talking about what the Moors did for census. Did he say they used the internet for census? The Moors?
He did. That is Dr. Shams out of New York. He did say that.
So the Moors had internet.
Well, no, he's talking about modern day.
Okay.
Yeah, he's talking about right now, the quote unquote Moors, they have
okay.
a registration website.
Okay, cool. I had to clear that up. I was just trying, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate you though.
No problem. Peace, brother.
Peace.
I'm about to shut it down.